It's a great day to be an NFL fan because week 1 of the NFL season starts tonight between the Ravens and the Chiefs, and every team plays this week as well. Week 1 is here. I'm so hyped. If you're an NFL fan, you're ecstatic right now. You get a great game, and we also have a great game tomorrow between the Packers and the Eagles. It's week 1 NFL predictions. Every single week we're going to do this. I know last year kind of slacked on this, but every single week on Thursday, I'll be posting this before the Thursday night football game, so you have something to watch before it starts. Let's get right into it. We have the game of the week, or maybe it might not be. We have another game after this that could be the Nolan's game of the week. If you remember what the Nolan's game of the week is, it's my personal game of the week. We'll get into that into a second, though. We have the Ravens versus Chiefs in this one. Ravens versus Chiefs, two of the best teams in the AFC from last year. The number 1 seed between the number 3 seed from the 2023 NFL playoffs. You know, it's in Arrowhead. It's the first NFL game we saw last year. The Lions went into Arrowhead and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This one, there's a lot of storylines. Will Lamar be a passer? Can he pass the ball great on those great cornerbacks that the Chiefs have? I know they lost L'Jarius Sneed, but man, that whole line for the Chiefs looks very, very good. But, you know, Justin Madubuike for the Ravens is definitely going to get a sack in this one, I feel like. You know, they have Marlon Humphrey on defense, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton. Let's see if he's going to be healthy. I think he's still going to play, though. You know, they have Derrick Henry now. Mark Andrews should be playing this one. He ended up being in a car crash a couple of weeks ago, but I believe he's playing in this game. You know, this one, it's a hard one to predict. You know, two of the best teams in the league, week 1 of the NFL season, so you don't really know who's going to win. You don't really know who's going to be good. But I'm actually going to go with the Ravens here. I'm going to go with the Ravens 24-23 with a game-winning field goal. Yeah, the first game of the season, we have a game-winning field goal between the Ravens and the Chiefs. Justin Tucker, you know, Chiefs scored touchdown with about, a minute left. Ravens drive down the field with the 2 timeouts they got because, they're going to call one early because, they're going to call one early in the third quarter because, Arrowhead's, getting all pumped and stuff. Ravens have to call a timeout. They save 2 timeouts for that final minute. They get all the way down to the 20-yard line and kick a game-winning field goal. So I have the Ravens winning 24-23. Heading into the Packers and Eagles game, the Brazil game tomorrow night. We have a Friday game, which is very, very good. This is actually my game of the week. Now, the reason it is Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts. Yes, the Ravens and Chiefs is pretty good, but Packers and Eagles, I think, matters a little bit more. The NFC is getting a little bit harder, and if the Packers can win this game, they are a Super Bowl favorite. Now, I know they're already Super Bowl favorites, but if they win this game in Brazil, it'll be absolutely insane. Jordan Love, they lost Aaron Jones, but they got a great guy in Josh Jacobs. They have Luke Musgrave. They got a great receiving core, great gun receiving core is going to be there for a long time. And then for the Eagles, you know how they are. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, one of the best O-lines in the league, even though they lost Jason Kelsey. Their defense, Darius Slay. They lost Kevin Byard. That shouldn't be too bad, though. They lost Fletcher Cox. They lost 2 guys to retirement, but they got Jalen Carter, who's really good. Nolan Smith should be starting as well. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one, 20-17. I think the Packers are going to get stopped like they did the playoffs against the Niners are going to get stopped, and the Eagles are going to win this game. Let's go into the early slates on Sunday, going into a pretty boring game, the Panthers and Saints. Now, I was leaning towards the Panthers in this one, but there's always a weird game that the Saints have where they just blow out a terrible team. And I think that's what's going to happen here. The Saints are going to win 31-16. I think Bryce Young's going to struggle in these first couple games, but then maybe they can make a playoff berth with like 9-10 wins. The NFC, it's getting more stacked, but even 9 wins could get them into the playoffs. Next up, we have Vikings-Giants. This is going to be a pretty weird one. Daniel Jones, can he live up to the hype? Will he be Is he worth the money? No, he's not. He's not. He is really not. But the Vikings, they lost JJ McCarthy. They have Sam Darnold now. But this one should be pretty easy. When you have Justin Jefferson on your team, it's pretty easy to get him the ball. He's going to get a bunch of targets in this one. They also have Jordan Addison. They lost KJ Osborne, but that's not that big of a loss. They have TJ Hawkinson, who I believe might be out for this game. So if he is, I guess he is, but I don't think it's going to matter anyways. They have a new rookie, Dallas Turner. Man, this Vikings defense is looking very, very good. So that's the Vikings winning 21-10 in this one. Next up, we have the Patriots and Bengals. This one should be pretty easy. I think the Bengals are going to win 34-11, just because if the Patriots were starting Drake May, maybe the Patriots would have a shot, but no, they really don't. The Bengals, they might have Jamar Chase, they might not have him, but if Jamar Chase sits down in this one, it doesn't really matter. I think their new starter running back is Chase Brown. Actually, it's going to be Zach Moss, I believe. Zach Moss was a great pickup for them in free agency, but I have the Bengals winning 34-11. Next up, we have the Steelers versus the Falcons. This one is one of the hardest ones to predict, in my opinion. You have Russell Wilson and the Steelers and Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. Two new starting quarterbacks for both of their new teams. Steelers, they got Cordell Patterson in free agency. They got Patrick Queen from the Ravens. Falcons, Drake London's looking good. Kyle Pitts is looking good. They got Darnell Mooney. They got Justin Simmons and Matthew Judon, which is just sick to my stomach as a Buccaneers fan. But I actually have the Steelers winning this one, 27-22. I just feel like they have most of their guys back. Of course, TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think that defense is going to play very, very good against the Falcons. And, Falcons, they still got to get into that system. They got a lot of new guys, a bunch of new players. Steelers, they have some of the same guys. They didn't really get anybody new. Of course, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are the biggest additions, but Steelers have most of the receiving core back. George Pickens, they have Pat Freiermuth. Their whole line looks pretty much the same. Defense looks pretty much the same. I have the Steelers winning this one. Next up, we have the Texans and Colts. Now, this one's going to be a close game, but I saw the Texans winning this one 23-17 just because the Texans have so much momentum heading into this one. CJ Stroud, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, an incredible O-line. Man, this team looked absolutely incredible. Dameon Pierce isn't a terrible backup either. Defense is looking incredible as well. They got a bunch of good guys like Will Anderson. Man, their defense looking good. And for the Colts, Anthony Richardson, can he get the job done this year? Can he maybe even win the AFC South? I don't think so. Colts are going to lose this one 23-17. Yes, they brought back a lot of their guys, but they're dealing with some injuries, and the Texans just have a lot more firepower than them. Next up, we have the Cardinals and Bills. How is Kyler Murray going to play with Marvin Harrison Jr.? If you've seen him practice and those highlights in practice and training camp, Marvin Harrison Jr. looks pretty good, but can they stop the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen? Now, they lost basically all the receivers. They have Dalton Kincaid, though. He played very good last year. Defense, they lost both their safeties. DeMar Hamlin is starting. They lost Tre'Davious White. They lost basically their whole team, but I still have them winning 30-17. I think the Cardinals, they could make a playoff push later in the season, but them just having a lot new guys, them losing a lot of players, they're going to have to, work the system out here in week one, and that's going to result in a loss to the Buffalo Bills. I have the Bills winning 30-17. Next up, we have the Bears and Titans. This is Caleb Williams' debut. Now, if you watch Hard Knocks, he looked very, very good. He has great potential, obviously. First overall pick. His attitude is great. I have the Bears winning 37-24 in this one. Now, the Titans are basically a retirement home now, and the Bears are now a team full of young guys. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet. Their O-line, incredible. Of course, they have Caleb Williams, the guy that should lead them to a Super Bowl maybe in the next 5 years. They look very, very good. And the Titans, like I said, retirement home. Will Levis, can he get that momentum that he had last year? He wasn't even great that last year. But, he had a couple of good games against the Dolphins and the Falcons. But I think the Bears are just going to absolutely dominate on offense. I think that's what's going to make the Bears great this year. Bears are going to win this one. Now, the Dolphins and the Jags. Now, if you remember last year, they were in a nail-biter Week 1 game with the Chargers. Dolphins ended up winning. I think that's exactly what's going to happen with them against the Jaguars. It's going to be a nail-biting game. Going to come down to the wire. But I have the Dolphins winning 27-24. They always start like 6-0, 7-0, and then end the year like 10-7, 9-8. It's very interesting of how they play. I think when it gets colder in the year, they struggle a little bit more. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, two of their best guys. They lost Calvin Ridley and Evan. Actually, they didn't lose Evan Ingram. They have Evan Ingram, I meant. Evan Ingram, of course, one of the best tight ends in the league, as we saw last year. I don't think the Jaguars are going to stop Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, so I have the Dolphins winning this one. Next up, we have the late game slate, and this is going to be a quick little prediction. We have the Broncos and Seahawks. I have the Seahawks winning 26-7. It's pretty easy. Broncos are not that good this year. Next up, we have the Raiders and Chargers. Chargers are at home, but basically the Raiders are at home. But Chargers usually always beat the Raiders in their first game. I have the Chargers winning 26-17. I don't know if Justin Herbert's playing. If he is, Chargers are winning. If he isn't, maybe the Raiders have a shot. Next up, we have the Cowboys and Browns. Tom Brady's first game, announcing the Cowboys-Browns game, as we all saw a couple months ago. The Cowboys, this was a hard one. I was projecting them to maybe score like 40-plus points. But I was like, the Browns defense is really good. But, the Browns have Deshaun Watson. They're not going to score a lot of points either against this Cowboys defense. Deshaun Watson, he thinks he's one of the best players in the league. Of course, you always have to think that, but he is really not. They have Amari Cooper, who was almost traded to the 49ers. They have David Njoku. Man, he is really good. Played very good last year. The O-line has been the same for the last, feels like 20 years. But I have the Cowboys winning 29-21. The Cowboys are at home. They didn't lose a game at home last season, at least in the regular season. We all know what happened in the Packers and Cowboys game in the playoffs. Next up, we have my Tampa Bay Buccaneers going against the Washington Commanders. I am so hyped for this game. I'm glad we got the Commanders first. We go against a rookie and Jaden Daniels at their starting quarterback. We got Baker Mayfield. I think he can win MVP this year. I'm definitely not biased. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer, Jalen McMillan. This team is looking very, very good. We got Jordan Whitehead back. I'm so hyped for that. We lost Carlton Davis, but as a Buccaneers fan, he allowed so many yards. He was not good. Yes, he had a couple interceptions. That's what he gets the credit for. Now, a lot of people were saying that's a huge loss for us. But when I'm watching, he was not good at all. He lost us some games last year. I have the Buccaneers winning 30-16. The Commanders are one of those teams that are building a retirement home just like the Titans. They got Bobby Wagner. They got Austin Eckler. Their team is so old when they should be really young like the Bears. They should be doing what the Bears are doing right now if they're getting those good free agents and trading for players. Buccaneers, they're just going to destroy them. We're at home. We're going to absolutely destroy the Commanders. Sunday Night Football. We have a wild card rematch from last year. We have the Matthew Stafford Revenge Game 2.0. On Sunday Night Football, Lions are at home in this one at Ford Field. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be a very exciting game. It's going to go down to the wire. I have the Lions winning 31-28, though. I don't have them winning a game-winning field goal, not a game-winning touchdown, not a last-minute drive. I just have them, stopping the Rams on defense. The Rams are going to go with a 3-and-out. Lions are going to kneel it off, and they're going to win this game. This game's going to be incredible. If you remember last year, it was an incredible game to watch. Best wild card game, definitely out of all the games. And the Lions are going to absolutely destroy the Rams' offensive line because Aiden Hutchinson, you can't. And Alan McNeil, he has made a name for himself. He has been very, very good. Rams, they lost Aaron Donald. Yep, one of the best players of all time. They lost him to retirement. And Puka Nacua, he's going to get like 20 targets in this game. I feel like Cooper Kupp's going to get over 50 yards. But I have the Lions winning this one, 31-28 on Sunday Night Football. Next up, for our final game, we have Monday Night Football between the Jets and the 49ers. Now, for some reason, I guess the people who make the schedule didn't learn from last year, and they put the Jets on Monday Night Football once again. It's like they don't like Aaron Rodgers or something. Now, this game is going to be another nail-biter. I feel like this might be one of the best weeks we have with Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, the first NFL game, and the Brazil game. Those 4 games are insane. Some of the best teams in the league. But the Jets, 49ers, Jets, one of the best D-line, one of the best defense. 49ers, one of the best O-line, and one of the best offenses in the league. Of course, the 49ers are going to have a top 3 defense every single year. There's not really much to say about this one. You guys already know the players. But they got Brandon Ayuk back, which is huge. I got him on my fantasy team once again. And yeah, I have the 49ers winning 27-24 just because the 49ers are basically the best team on offense and defense. They're going to be number 1 in both categories, I feel like, this year. Unless the Browns, they're going to get a couple. They're going to be insane on defense, and the Cowboys as well. And even the Packers. The Packers are very underrated on defense as well. So that's my Week 1 NFL predictions. Make sure to drop in the comments. Is there a team that can make an upset? Drop down a player who can have a big game, and comment down below a player who you think can shock the world and maybe even win a game for one of the teams. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Week 2 NFL predictions coming out next week, every single week, on Thursday at 7 Eastern. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to be a part of the Go Gang. Have a great time watching the Ravens and Chiefs tonight for our first NFL game, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.